crafters, welcome back to my channel and welcome for our New Year's Eve crop. And there is going to be, I believe, 8 other designers that are going to be doing projects for the virtual crop, and we're looking forward to seeing all your comments and everything that we are doing for you this time. So all the tutorials are free, and there are sure going to be probably some other games and prizes and things like that on the retreat. So this is my my project, and it's a little bit smaller than I originally had planned, but I think you're really going to like this, especially because I use the Country Craft Creations Valentine collection that's called Love is in the Air. And I backed the top here, I double matted that, and this is the My Colors, I think it's called Imperial Red. I double matted there, and in a lot of spots in the card or the multi-panel card that's on the inside is also double matted. So with this project, the reason why I made a box for it to go on is that it's another way to make a really neat dimensional card that you can put a gift certificate in and then put it in a box, so it doesn't look like it's just a card with a gift certificate. It looks a little bit more put together and looks a little bit more like a gift. So what I did is I took some of my buffalo check ribbon and I glued some of my graphic 45 flowers on there, and that can just slide right off of my box. And this box is basically, it's for a 5x7 card, so this is a little bit bigger than the card itself. And I just matted the top because the top itself is the same width as this is. And then for the card itself, it sits right in this box, and I did not mat the bottom because it's basic box. You can mat it though, by all means, if you'd like to. And this is my card, and what I did with that is I took a couple of my flowers out of my stash. This is a vellum doily that I got in a swap. I also took my punched out one of the pieces of ephemera and backed it on a scallop punch on here. And then I also took one of the from the cut aparts page, or the ephemera page, no, the cut aparts page, they have some border strips on the bottom of that. And I just have a band that slides on and off for this card. And as you can see, I did double mat all the way around on the front. So this is 5x7, the structure of this card. And actually it opens up like this. So if you could see to the front, it sits like this, and it can sit nicely on a table or on a mantle, and it just looks really impressive and a great gift. So these are all matted with the pattern papers as well as here, and all of these items on here are double matted. So there are there's a red in here, and then I just did a couple stamps on my messages here. This is where I tucked in my pocket, so the gift card can slide right down into there. If you look on this side, goes down to here, and there's a pocket underneath there where you can tuck the gift certificate in there, but it all folds down. And if you go over to the back, this is where I put white on the back of here so that I could write a note for the recipient. So, and that's all double matted, and then I used some of the border strips from that page as well, top and bottom, just to give it a little bit more depth. You could put more hearts on here, more Valentines, use more of the cutouts. Really, it's endless to what you want to do. You could even put, maybe you want to put some little gems going along here in the hearts. But I just wanted to leave it simple because I thought the card in and of itself was really pretty. So that is our card, and it sits just like that. The only place that isn't matted is the very back of that, but otherwise everything is matted, and that's what we're going to make. So we're going to make the card first, and then we're going to make our box that this card goes in. So I hope you will join me for that tutorial. So thank you. Let's go over there. Hey crafters. Okay, so let's get started on getting our paper ready for cutting out for our card. So I'm choosing to use the black Artisan Cardstock for this, and I am using our new collection from Country Craft Creations, the Valentine's collection, which is called Love is in the Air. And this is going to be perfect for your Valentine's gifts or presents or cards to grandkids, to kids, because there'll be a spot for you to put a pocket in there so that you can have a spot for a gift certificate, and then you could wrap it up to give to the kids. So let's start off by cutting our cardstock. So first of all, we're going to start off and we're going to cut one piece of the 10 by 7. So that's 10 inches by 7 inches. And then we're going to score it. Our first score is along the 10-inch side is 2.5 inches and 5 inches and 7.5. So that was 2.5, 5, and 7.5. And then set that aside. And then we're going to cut 2 other pieces next. And they are going to be 5 by 7. So you need 2 pieces, 5 by 7, and no scoring on these. The next 2 that you're going to do is to cut two pieces, and they are 6 by 5. And both of them you're going to score along the, I think it's a 6-inch side, sorry. Let me just for sure make sure. So, yep, 6-inch side. So when scoring on the 6-inch side, you're going to score at 1.5, then 3, and then 4.5. So again, this is 2 sheets at 6 by 5, and both are scored at 1.5, 3, and 4.5. And then you set that aside. Our next 2 that we want to cut. Now remember that when you're cutting these, if you're cutting off the 10 by 7 pieces, there is going to be some left over that are 5 inches. So you're going to be able to cut off pieces that from your original cuts, but otherwise some of these will even be okay to use some of your cutoffs maybe from other pieces of cardstock. So the next 2 pieces that we're going to cut is 4 5/8 by 4. And on the 4 5/8 side, you're going to score this at 1/2 inch, and then 1 1/4 inch, and then 3 7/8. So 2 of the 4 5/8 by 4. First score is at 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch, and then 3 7/8. And that's on both of those. You're going to do that, and we'll set that down there. And then the next one that you're going to be cutting is 1 piece at 6 by 2 3/4. And on the 6-inch side, you're going to score those at 1, 3, and 5. Again, that's 6 by 2 3/4, and you're going to score at 1, 3, and 5. And you can put that aside as well. The other thing that I usually go ahead and cut ahead of time is I do cut my matting for my sentiments, and those sentiments are going to be, but we're going to cut those in a little bit, and I'll give you the measurements for that as we go. So what I want to do first of all is I'd like to put this part of our card together, and we're going to go ahead and decorate as we can as we go along, and I'll give you the measurements of that. So the first thing that we're going to do is, let's go along the lines that we have. This is on our 10 by 7 piece, and we're going to score on those 3 score lines. And this is going to start making the base of our card. And so the base of our card is, I score them like that, and then I come back and I wrap those 2 end pieces in. So we're basically going to have that is what it's going to look like when it's done. So you want to score those and have this be a mountain fold in the middle, and these are going to be flat on the sides. So the next thing that we're going to do then is we're going to take our 2 5 by 7 pieces, and we are going to put those together with this part of the card so that we can get a full piece of the card. I like to put this together so that this is on the inside and that I can cover that over on the inside. You can do however you would like to do. You can do that on the inside and have that be through the back. That's perfectly fine too. I usually do it the other way because of the way that it's scored. I just thought it's a better score and fit if I do it to the back side of this. So that's what we're going to do to begin with. And I'm just using my art glitter glue. You can feel free to use score tape, but it is not necessary. And I know this might look like a lot of glue, but it really isn't a lot of glue because I scratch it onto the cardstock. I'm turning it over to make sure that it's just right along that edge, but not really going over it. Trying to control my my glue getting on my black cardstock. Don't like to have it on there. And we're going to go ahead and take our other 5 by 7 piece, and we're going to match it up to this side as well. So let's get our glue on this. This card looks much harder than what it is. It isn't that hard, but it really makes a very impressive gift card holder or card for giving to family and friends. I like to do it like this because then it matches up the fold, and I can match up the sides on that, and then I can put that down. And I will just check the glue on this side. Make sure we're all covered over. All right, so now we've got our pieces like this. So basically this is our 5 by 7 piece, 5 by 7 piece right here. And so before we're going to be able to put down any of the other multi-levels in this card, we want to get our base pattern paper down. And what I've done is I went ahead and I wanted to try double matting almost everything in this card this time. So I'm taking this plaid paper and I have it on top of the red, I think it was Imperial Red by My Colors cardstock. It has a little bit of gloss finish to it. And so the mats for the inside covers as well as the cover and the back to our card, those measurements, the mat, now we're talking about the red mat. If you're going to double mat, you're going to cut the red card at 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. So 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. And then the pattern paper, you're going to cut that at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And basically what that's going to do, it's going to give us a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. We have a 1/16 of an inch here, 1/16 of an inch here, gosh, I can't touch it, here. And then we have our pattern paper right here. So what I did is I went ahead and I prepared all my pieces for the inside cover as well as the back and the front cover. So let's go ahead and get those pieces down. The measurements on these, let me just tell you one more time. So our base cardstock that we have here is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, and then the pattern paper is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And we're just going to glue those down. And I went ahead and glued my pattern paper right on top of my cardstock to begin with. I thought it would just help to make this process go a little bit faster. So I'm going to make sure that I'm even all the way around the best I can, and I'm trying to stay away from this line a little bit too. Make sure I have free folding on there. Now, if you have a pattern paper that has a direction to it, make sure that you're watching for that, because I also had some situations where I folded this down and then I ended up putting the paper on the inside and this was upside down or the back was upside down. So just be careful with that as you're going, and if you need to mark it off as you go, that's a wise idea as well. Or if you need to put a clip on the top of your card, whatever you need to do to help you remember what is the top or what's the back of your card, to help you do that, you know, that's a good thing. So. All right, so now we've got both of these down. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to, oh, I forgot about these. I'm going to put these on next. So this is the back of my card. So I'm going to go here and put this down. I want to do the white on the back because this is where I would like to write my message to who I'm giving the card and the gift to. And we can do some more decorating on the back in the white, on the white card if we want to. If not, it's just a great place to write a message. Making sure we're even all the way around. I'm sorry if I go out of the camera. Apologize. So now that I'm putting the front on of my card, I want to make sure that anything that I'm doing in here, that I'm, you know, matching up, that this is the front top piece. So I'm putting this on the cover. Most of the time with this card, I don't always do a lot of decorating on the cover because I have been putting bands around it to close. So, you know, that band could end up knocking the decorations off. So I thought it would work well if I put her on the front, and I thought it was cute that way, getting some of that blue color in there along with the red. Okay, so now we have those 4 pieces that originally were covering 5 by 7. So the other option that you have is that you can leave this plain. If you would like to leave it plain to give a little bit of balance to not putting all patterns on here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pretty much cover most of my open card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I am going to put this cardstock, is this the right way? I don't think it really matters. I think it's probably. So you're going to need, I have matted this with the red cardstock and then the pattern paper. So for this, this is 2 3/8 in the red card by 6 7/8. The red card underneath this back is 2 3/8 by 6 7/8, and the pattern paper then is 2 1/4 by 6 3/4. So once again, you need to cut 2. The red card is 2 3/8 by 6 7/8, and the pattern paper is 2 1/4 by 6 3/4. And then we're going to go ahead and put that down. On our card. I just like to turn these and to put them on so I can look at both sides, and then trying to get this angled so that it is equal all the way around. And let's go ahead and do this one. Still the right way. Better make sure. Yes, I am. So this is going to make a really nice sturdy card, and hoping that the person who receives the card will enjoy it and put it out on their table or their mantle, however they display their cards. But it sure is a keepsake, something that, you know, they can really keep for a while and remember you. So then the next sections of this is this section where these are going to be our 6 by 5 sheets of the black cardstock. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to burnish these score lines. And it works out better if you can burnish those score lines, because it'll give your card a little bit of a more bending ability, I would say, on your card, so that it can close easier and is much more solid. So then what we're going to do is we are going to take this, and we are going to take this piece and match it up midway in between, you know, and I can measure it if I want to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to eyeball it, because nobody's going to really know if I'm, you know, just a little bit off or if I'm a lot off. So I'm going to put this down, like I said, and match it up to the middle as best that I can, and you probably see it better than I do on the camera, and a little bit back from that bend. And then I'm going to bring this over, and I'm going to put that down so that glues right onto that section. And when we bring that up, it's going to come up like that. And then what we're going to do next is we are going to then put glue on this end, and all you need to do is then fold this down flat, and we're going to put this down flat here, and glue that all down. Happens with that is then it opens up like that. So let's do the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and get our glue on here. Let's see if I can try to get that as even as I can, just by matching that up to the lines. Probably should have waited to put that white down. You never know. Okay, so then I'm going to come back and I'm going to put my glue. And we're going to fold that down like that. Till that dries. And then once we do that, we come up with this. This is what we've got so far. So the other item is that if you put pattern paper down here and over here, you could go ahead and leave these plain if you want to. And like I said, I've decided not to do that. I am going to use some plainer pattern paper. So this is from the collection. And what I would like to do with this is I'm matting it in the red, and then I'm using this pattern paper, the one with just the, looks like bubbles on it. And for these, the red mat is going to measure at 1 3/8 by 4 7/8. And the pattern paper measures at 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. So again, the measurements are 1 3/8 by 4 7/8, 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. And we're going to take these and we are going to place them right on, I call these the towers. Just as my way of naming some of these things for so I remember what the parts and pieces are. So we're going to fit those in here with a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Right? And then I'm going to do the same thing along this side of the tower. So we're getting a pattern paper on there, but we're not putting too much pattern in there that it's going to mess up or look too busy. I shouldn't say mess up, but just look too busy. We don't want that to happen. So we're putting it right there, and I'm going to put that down so that that glues onto that part. And then I'll do the same over here. And so what I normally do is I normally cut all of these pieces ahead of time. I get them ready to put on my card, and I layer up my matting, and that way I have everything all ready and set to go. Looks like I've got a little bit of a piece coming off here, or at least it looks that way. I don't, maybe not. Maybe it's an optical illusion. Anyway, so that gives us a starting of our base. Then the next section, you're going to get your pieces that are 4 5/8 by 4. So that's 4 5/8 by 4, and you need 2 of those. So I'll be right back with you. I've got to run to do one thing. I'll be right back. Thanks, crafters. I know it was just a second for you, but it was about 5 minutes for me. So we're going to take these 2 pieces, and you'll see the score lines on these. So let's go ahead and score those. And I will show you what we're going to do with those. And with the black Artisan cardstock, one of the nice things about it is that you can really burnish on that paper pretty well. Unless you're in a really, really dry climate, you want to be a little bit careful with that, but otherwise burnishing. I'm not going to say I've never had the paper crack, but I think I've only had it crack one time on me, maybe twice. But that's a lot of paper I've worked with that I've burnished and scored on that I've not had any cracking. So that's a good thing. Now this one looks like it's going to be upside down, but it's not. I just had them two sitting this way, but it's really going to be attached this way. So we're going to go ahead and get that attached. So you're going to want to take this side, this small side, and we're going to glue that onto the towers. And then these two sides are going to be to the outside. So what we're going to do, like we did before, we are going to attach this onto our tower. We're going to put glue on this side, and I'm going to set it down. One of the things that I like best about this is I love the way that so much of the construction of this is being put together by just folding and laying everything down so that it all works together well. And then this side, we're going to go ahead and we are going to put glue just on this 1/2 inch piece right here. We're going to put it on the 1/2 inch piece, but we're going to fold this whole piece down. Here's the other piece, and then the 1/2 inch piece, and we are going to bring that down so it lays flat and we can see that it's not going over our card. So I'm going to pull that all down. Sorry for all my rubbing. Oh, see, I should have let that go a little longer. Sorry about that. I'm going to put that back down. And again, I'm folding that flat, and then we're going to fold this flat, and we're going to hold that down. You rub on here a little bit. And this I can see is down a little bit crooked, based upon my matting inside, but as long as it stays within my card, I will be fine. So that should stay, hopefully. There we go. Now let's do our other side. So what we're going to do with this is these two are going to go on the outside. This is going to go down in the middle, and we're going to put our glue on this one flap on our card. And really the writing that I have on here is not going to make any difference whatsoever by how we're putting it in. It'll matter once we put our colored cardstock in there. So once we get that glued down and try to get that to hold. Now, one of the things that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be covering these mats with the pattern paper. One of the things that I have seen on this card before is that there's the matting, and then they put white cardstock in here, and they use either stickers or ephemera pieces on here, or they stamp something and color the image for the card. So if you are a great colorist, then I say go ahead and do that. It looked really cute. I'm just not, I like to color. I tend to like to get my projects done more than I like to color. And I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but it's kind of my feeling on it. So some of those crafters out there, they do such an awesome job with coloring with their Copic markers and their all of their colored pencils. Just do such a great job. So really it's going to, I know you're not going to be able to see that too well, but it's basically going to be standing up like that. What I've chosen to do is to put some mats on here so that we have colored matting on this piece. And those mats, you'll need 2 of them, are red piece for this. The red cardstock underneath is 2.5 by 3 7/8. 2.5 by 3 7/8. And then our pattern paper on top is 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. So 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to make sure that I'm upward the right way, and then I'm going to put this down on this piece. I hope everybody's enjoying the New Year's Eve crop and that you're getting lots of great new ideas for 2022. I had wanted to do this because I thought this was such a great collection for Valentine's Day, and I thought this would give you a great new idea for what you can do for your Valentine cards and maybe do something a little bit different. And you know, I'm showing you the way that I'm putting the pattern paper and putting this whole card together, but you know, really you could take it and do a lot of different things with it, especially if you like to color and if you like to use different designs. You could do more stamping and coloring on these pieces. Or the matter of fact is that you don't have to put any pattern paper down here whatsoever. You know, it's really up to you. I've done it, I have done ones where they have not, I did not put any pattern paper in here. I think I have always on here, but I think I think this is subtle enough. Now, I could go ahead and I could put pattern paper down along here as well if I wanted to, but I'm not going to this time around. So the next piece that we're going to find is our 6 by 2 3/4. So it's 6 by 2 3/4, and you have 3 score lines in it. And we are actually going to take this, and this is going to go down into here in the middle. So let's go ahead and do that. So once again, we're going to do this on the flap. And I am going to put this down on here. And then this one comes around, and I'm going to, and each of these I have lined up so they were just off of the matting on there, and so that this stands up, and but it flattens out a little bit so you can still read the sentiments. Close that down so I can make sure that glue is good all the way through. And so then that gives us a card that opens like this. Now this is where I'm going to put the sentiments for my card. And I have done this in the past where I've put ephemera on here. And actually, if you want to see a couple other cards that I made that look like this, or similar design to this, I have done some Christmas cards, and those will be posted on the 31st in the hashtag Christmas 365. It's a collaboration group getting ready for Christmas next year. If you'd like to see what I did with the Christmas ones. So I am going to put these sentiments down right in the middle. What I did is I just stamped that with my Versamark, and I probably should have gotten my Misty out because I would have liked to get those a little bit darker, but I didn't. So, And then these, I guess I didn't tell you that, my mats for these sentiments, the mat is, oh my gosh, did I not write it down? Well, the sentiment piece is so my red card on here is 1 7/8 by 2 5/8, 2 5/8, oh, 2 5/8 by 1 7/8. So then my white card that I put onto here is actually going to be 1 3/4 by 2 1/2 is going to be my white. So that basically is the card basics done. You can see that it's like that, and we've opened it up and it's all open. And actually, as I look at this, I may go back and add a piece along here. I might take some of my leftover pieces for this and add that to that end. And I'm going to get a couple other things ready, and I'll be right back to show you how I put the gift certificate in here and how we're going to do a band around here. And I'll be right back to show you that in just a few minutes. Hi, so let's get back to putting the rest of this together and doing our box and finishing this project off. So one of the things that I did is I came back in here, and this is our card, and I did put some paper onto the sides here because I just liked the way it looked. So these were 5/8 by let me think. I'm sorry, just had them at the top of my mouth. Oh, by 3 7/8. So that you can do on this side and on this side. And then the other thing that I did is I came back and I made myself a small pocket, and I took the the plain side of the pocket to put it down. And this piece was I think it was 2 1/2. Yes, 2 1/2 by 7. And with this pocket, I didn't really measure it, but it's approximately 2 1/4. I just put it up, and then my gift card or my check or whatever I would like can fit in there. So one of two things that you can do, you can go ahead and glue it down in there into this pocket. It just will slide down to there. Or you can put in some temporary tape, or you can put it in permanently. One of the things that I want to do is to try and figure out if there's a way that I can put that pocket in there and be able to pull it up, you know, like up and down. And I know there's a way to do it. I just didn't have time to kind of work on that to find out what I might need to do that. I have an idea, but since I've never really done that before, I thought I'm going to show you what I actually did for Christmas this year. So then you have this in here. You can put some cut aparts or some ephemera on there if you'd like. Could put a little bit of bling. You can leave it just the way it is, or you can say see below or something like that. But that's basically the inside of our pocket, or I'm sorry, our card is done. I also added onto here some of the strips from the cut aparts. On that page, they had this page, they had banners on the bottom, and I used that, part of that banner on the bottom of here, and then on the back, I used the other banner top and bottom, and I can write my message in here. So then the other thing that I went ahead and did is I made my band for my book, and I always end up making this as probably about 1/4 of an inch, and this is about 1/8 of an inch, but I basically go around and wrap it. This one is probably about 1 1/4 inches. Let me just measure it. Sometimes I do 2 inches, sometimes I do 1 1/2, whatever, you know, depth that you like. This one actually looks like it is 1 5/8 width, but as far as the length of it around, it's 12 inches. And then on here, I did take and punched out a circle off of the ephemera page, and I put some black behind it, and then I put a vellum doily on top of that, and I took some flowers out of my stash, and I got these in a gift, a swap. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my florals right onto here to add a little bit of whimsy to that. I wanted to find something more, because I really kind of wanted to do something going along like that, but I can't find something right now, so I may have to do that later and see if I can find something out of my stash that will work on there. And I just put art glitter glue down for on my doilies, and it's going to be right where I'm putting my flowers down to hide them. So probably wondering why I have all this out. Well, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get going on working on our box. So there we go. And then this is just going to, I did not take this one and make it be able to open with a magnet or Velcro. I decided I wanted to just close it down all the way and then just slide this up or down. Now I do have another flower that I could put up here, but I think I'm going to see if I can find a smaller flower and fit it under here, but I don't have them right in my stash at this time, so I'm going to leave that just as it is. And while what I want to do is to make it look as pretty as I can, but also I'm not going to, most people do end up throwing their cards away. A lot of people do, so I don't want to use anything that's overly expensive, you know, so that I'm just taking something and throwing it in the garbage. So of course it's so beautiful, no one's ever going to do that. So here is the bottom of the box that I have put together, and I am going to leave the bottom in the solid cardstock, and I am going to cover the top of the box because the top of the box will go down over the sides of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some ribbon around this box to tie it shut, and we will put some pattern paper along the sides of the top of the box. So let me give you the measurements for the bottom of the box. Let me get my book out here. The bottom is going to be 8 5/8 by 10 5/8. And when you score the bottom of the box, you're going to score the bottom exactly the same way as you're going to score the top. So that's why I put the bottom together. It's just that the size of this cardstock is 1/8 of an inch bigger, so that it will go over the bottom of the box. And you'll see that this card fits really well inside of here. So we'll put that off to the side. So what I did is, this is the top of the box, and the top of the box is 8 3/4 by 10 3/4. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to we are going to score this. So the first score that we're going to do is we're going to do a 3/4 of an inch score on the outside of this cardstock. And the reason for that is because I want to take, I almost took the wrong thing, is because I want to be able to fold that over to make it a little bit sturdier. So I took that at 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go up and do 1 3/4. So that's what I'm going to do for every side. So this should give us a top that's a little bit bigger than our base. So we're going to turn it around and we're going to put it on 3/4. And then we're going to put it on 1 3/4. The nice thing too is this is just kind of a nice all-purpose box. You could use it for a lot of different things, for different gift items, for cards if you didn't want to put them in a folio. So again, 3/4, then 1 3/4. And again, we're going to do that all the way around. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because then I don't have to additionally count out where my score lines are based upon the extra sizing. I just know that if I score this the same as the smaller cut cardstock, exactly the same on the ends, inside wise it will just end up being bigger. Not by a lot, it's like I said, 1/8 of an inch bigger. So then we're all done with our scoring, and what we want to do is to take our scissors, and we're going to have to cut away some items on here. And one of the things that I want to do is, it's going to be hard for you to see these score lines. Let me do it this way. So I'm going to cut in straight down to here, and basically cutting that edge away. And then I'm going to cut all of this off, the corner off. And then I'm going to cut this off. Right. So basically what you're going to have is, at the end here, you're going to have one tab right here, and you're going to have the 3/4 and the 1 inch here. So I'm going to go along here and I'm just going to miter this very, very slightly, just so that I don't get too much bulk on the edge. I'm going to just slightly miter this along here as well. You're probably asking me, why am I using this great big scissors? Part of it is because I can't find my little ones, and the little ones I can find, I don't like them. So then I miter a little bit of that, and I miter a little bit of this. Not doing so good on my mitering. So just pretend I'm doing really well. So we have a tab here all set and go. Now I need to make sure that this tab goes this direction as well. So I'm going to go and cut in here up to my second score line. And then I'm going to cut these 2 squares out of here, and actually I'm going to just miter that a little bit as I cut it, so I can cut that away. And I'm going to miter this just a little bit since I'm cutting this away. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to miter this a little bit. And if you're not real great at mitering, then you're really probably not going to see them, so don't worry about it. The only thing that I get concerned about is here I made a little bit too much of a hole, and I probably shouldn't have done that. So then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to cut down to my second score line on here, and cut down on that. Miter that just a little bit. For goodness sakes. Do you ever watch someone and they're cutting and you're trying to cut along with them while you're watching the video and you're getting, just go this way, cut it like this. It'll be a lot easier. And then I get on camera and I mess it all up. Let me just see. Okay. I'm gonna cut this side as well. And then I'm going to cut this off. Don't need this that long. And we're going to miter the sides of this tab just slightly. All right, I think I'm going to fix that up just a little bit. That'll be okay. So then when you're completely done with all that cutting, you should have something that looks like that. And I see something I did wrong. I forgot to miter this over here. So don't forget to miter. And also the mitering on these, it does help with taking the score bump off of the paper as well, so it makes it look a little bit cleaner. So what we're going to do with this is we have an additional piece on all of this, and we are going to go ahead and on that first score, we're going to score that down, and then I'm going to score that up like that. So I have one score here and then another score here. So this will be the outside of our box. So one thing that I like to do is, oh, actually, and the truth is that it doesn't matter if you, if these go this way or if they come out and go under here. It's really your preference on how you'd like them to set. So I'm going to pull those back. One of the things that I want to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue these end pieces first, and then going to start by putting the box together, and then these flaps will be covered under our other flaps. So now we're folding and burnishing all of these over. Yeah, I didn't do as good a cutting as I should have, but that's them. They're the breaks. I gotta find my scissors. So then I'm going to, on this 3/4 inch fold, I'm going to fold that down. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it'll give me a nice sturdy side to my box, and it'll give me a nice clean edge. Plus I have enough cardstock, you know, where I could take one piece of the cardstock and I could cut this box out of one piece. I didn't have to fit a bunch of cardstock together in order to make this work. So I'm going to put this down. And on one box that I did, I actually took this 3/4 inch score, the first score, and I did it at 7/8. And you know, you can do whatever works for you. If you like a 7/8 fold on it, just remember to increase the size of your cardstock so that you still have the right inside part to your box. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to fold. Let me see, I didn't cut that very well. We are going to fold and burnish that in. And I'm going to put some of my glue on there and some of my glue on here. And match those up to the corners, trying to make sure that we are square on both ends of our corners. Nothing's worse than having a box that does not have square corners. It'll cause you so many issues down the way. And then let's do this one. Fold that and burnish it. Fold this and burnish it. Then we're going to put our glue on here. Glue on this side. And let's square up those corners. I hope I'm not off camera anywhere. I'm sorry if I am. My true apologies on that if I am. Trying to keep it all in frame. But my problem is that on my setup here, I don't have room for an additional monitor, so I can't see if I'm in or out. But I try to set it up so that I know exactly where I am in and where I am out. So now we're going to go along the sides of this, and we are going to fold these sides over and burnish them down. And you can use tape on this if you want to. I just prefer using my art glitter glue. I feel like it, excuse me, it holds longer and better. And the reason for that is I read an article at one time that wet glue is actually better than tape. And the reason for that is because the glue actually bonds with the fibers of the cardstock. So that's not my study, that's just something I read. So if you want to do some research, I would Google it and see if you find the same article that gives you that information. So that's the way I use my glue, more so than I use anything else. On occasion, when I need a really quick hold, I actually should have tested this before I finished putting it all together, but see, we've got it all together. So then what I'm going to do is, once this is all done, and this goes over the top because it's 1/8 of an inch bigger, I'm going to go along and I am going to double mat the top of the box. I am not going to double mat the sides of the box. I think that's a little bit of overkill, but I thought the top would benefit from the double matting. That looks better. Let me make sure I'm on the right side, and we're going to use this other gal. She reminds me of June from Leave It to Beaver. Am I dating myself, or are there some of you out there that remember June? And I actually did cut this down a little bit narrower than I had planned on, but that's okay. It's 1/8 of an inch around. I think it still looks good. I'm not going to worry about it. So I've got this on the top of my box, and I cut some of my cardstock so that I could put this along my box, and I see I didn't cut it long enough because I forgot that I was making this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to have to take some other cardstock and or pattern paper and put it along the sides. So with this though, this is 1 inch along the side. So with that being 1 inch, that pattern paper would have to be 7 1/4. So that pattern paper should end up being 7/8 by 7 1/8. That's how long this side should be. And on this side it should be 7/8 again, and the length is 5 1/8. I thought I had cut it right, but I did not, so I'm going to have to go back and fix that. I'm going to do that, and then let me see if I can find my ribbon right here. Oh, I can't see my ribbon and bow. I wanted to put my buffalo check. Thought I had pulled it out, but I guess I did not. And I can't even find the one I really wanted, but this will work. So what I'm going to do then is, on the top of this, I am going to use a ribbon to tie, and I do use fray check on the ends of my ribbon if I feel that they're going to fray on me. So yeah, that was cut more than I need. So I am going to do this. All right. What I really like for ribbons though so much is I love it when they have a wire side, because they usually stay so nicely. And I'm going to do a fishtail here, or dovetail, is that what they call it? I think I'm going to cut this one down a little bit more too. Oops, I almost cut it the wrong way. There we go. It's okay for it to be a little longer, but I don't want it to be too much longer. And then that's our little box. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can come along with some of your graphic 45 flowers, or you could take and embellish this with some of the cut aparts, those kinds of things. You might even want to put something right here, and then you'll tie your bow around there, because it actually could slide on and off. So if you wanted to embellish this with the flowers right in that ribbon, you can do that as well. So I'm going to leave that for now. I hope that this was easy enough to understand everything, that I didn't make a mistake on any of my measurements. I apologize if I did. And I look forward to seeing you later. So have a great crop, and Happy New Year's. Thanks so much. Bye.